Little technical trouble tonight, but it's Randall Cunningham along with Phil Harris. Uh, Phil, we've gone high tech, and sometimes you got to struggle through it.
Yes, there's always problems with that. Technology is nice if it works. Of course, I know you said that the sound has been a lot better. Chrissy said the sound's been a lot better, but you got to get the kinks worked out, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a big show tonight. We're a little late getting on. Coach Kyle Finch from the Sylvania Lady Rams will be joining us in about 15 or 20 minutes. Phil, he made a run 2 years ago, got that team all the way to the state semifinals. Been a little struggle this year, but Coach Finch, good coach.
Oh, yes, definitely. So, I think his junior high team, I think Matt won the county championship this year. So, things are going to get better for him. But, the thing is, when you're at Sylvania, it's going to come and go for you. But the level of competition around you is very tough. So, you got to be at your top of the game all the time. And you're going to have some ups and downs. You just got to play through them.
Well, and we're hoping to get Coach Finch is not shy at all. He'll tell us about who's good down there, and maybe he won't call it out of names, but his team this year has played some teams that are absolutely loaded.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, Plainview in that in that area, a top-notch program, from top to bottom, from their elementary school teams all the way up to their varsity. Very sound program. So, yeah, but that's kind of your measuring stick. That's where you have to be. And, if you get on their level, you got a chance to win a state championship.
And Phil, we've talked about the area. Eighth grade sensation Momo Moore just keeps on over at Chattanooga Christian. Still, probably the leading, maybe one or two in the area for player of the year, but her freshman teammate might be her competition. Chattanooga Christian made a decision a couple of years ago to go compete, and they've done everything they had to go compete.
Oh yes, that's of course that's why they're in that private school is they're going to bring in kids that that can compete, already know how, and this is kind of a thing you see where the schools, what you would call the rich school, not necessarily rich as far as money goes, but everybody goes flocking to the schools that win, and those kids already know how to play before they get there. So there's not a lot of teaching involved. It's a matter of blending and fine tuning, so you get the elite to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, I got a couple of things before Coach joins us I want to discuss with you. One of them, as I sit here and look at Wes Moore, former UTC women's basketball coach, number 3 in the nation, a lot of talk that he may have been should have been considered in that Tennessee job when the current coach got it. Um, the Lady Vols being on the bubble of the tournament, it's not a position that the Lady Vols are used to being into. But also, Lady Vols are 9-2 in the SEC. Is the reputation of being a Lady Ball kind of gone from the world of women's college basketball?
Well, I think to a certain extent, everybody I think is kind of waiting around and sitting back. At some point, they're going to be a factor again. And, I think that's kind of what everybody's waiting on. Connecticut's kind of slipped back just a little bit. So it's everybody else's turn. But, it seems like the Lady Vols, they've struggled at the early part of the year, but it seems like the last couple of weeks, they're kind of sort of putting things together. They had a few injuries early part of the year. They're not an elite team, but it's a team that plays well. They could beat anybody in the conference. Of course, the meat of their schedule's coming up. I think they play Alabama maybe this week on the road. They've got a game with coming up with 2 games with South Carolina and one with LSU. So we're going to find out really how good they are. But they're starting to play well at a good time. And you were talking about Coach Wes Moore. I think was one of the most underrated coaches in college, and how he ended up out of the college jobs was beyond me, because what he did at UTC was just unreal.
Yeah. And he was an assistant at NC State. Now, he ended back over there, and NC State has been consistently top, 5 over the last couple of years. But a little bit like Rick Barnes, and that's my next question, has been able to be elite in the regular season, top five, but has never put that run together to get UTC or NC State into that a Final Four. And of course, Rick Barnes has only done it once with TJ Ford. Veteran coaches that have struggled in the tournaments.
It,
Is it players or is it the coach?
I think sometimes it may be kind of the luck factor. Like last year, Tennessee got to the Sweet 16 and lost to Zakai Ziegler and had an opportunity to get to the Final Eight. So sometimes there's a lot of luck involved. I know one year when we played, it was in the Sweet 16 and we played Michigan State, we got hosed.
Yeah.
And it's obvious it could be. We run the same play we run all the year long, back down the defender and shoot and hit a layup. Well, he got called for an offensive foul. And that's because Michigan State was that elite team. So sometimes that comes to be a factor in college basketball. Like, for instance, Kansas here just recently won a few games. All of a sudden, they shoot back up into the top five. Well, they have that name recognition, and you're South Carolina that has beaten Kentucky and Tennessee don't get any respect. That's the thing is about college basketball. It's the all name team will often get the accolades. And what you were talking about with Coach Barnes, yeah, he hasn't been to the Final Four at Tennessee or anything like that. But you think about what he's done to maintain a program that is competitive every year. You don't see that much anymore. Teams will go up and down, up and down, up and down, where he is able to put in a team that can win the Southeastern Conference on the floor every year, even when they have flaws. And I think that has a lot to do with its defense first. And sometimes in the tournament, defenses are key to games, but Tennessee will go into a shooting lull sometimes, and that's what's cost them in the NCAA tournament. This team here might be a little bit different.
I think so too. I think I think Coach Barnes is a little bit a victim of his own circumstance. That he's took some teams that's not overly talented and won 24, 25 ball games, been in the top 10. But this group is really super talented. I feel this might be the most talented team Tennessee's ever had.
Well,
If, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, thing that the loss to South Carolina may have done them a lot of good. I think they were kind of leaning on Connect a little too much. Well, after the loss to South Carolina, they kind of sort of, I think, went back and retool things a little bit. A lot of times when you're a coach, if you're winning, you don't want to change anything. Well, all of a sudden you lose somebody you're not supposed to lose to. You go back to the basics and you change things up a little bit and you challenge the guys to pick up their level of play. And for Tennessee to win at Kentucky, they had to have that happen. Connect wasn't going to do it by himself. He was going to have some help. James and Ziegler came through, and that lets everybody know, hey, we're a complete team. On a given night, somebody can carry us. It don't have to be Connect every time.
And I do think Lamont Paris, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about him. From UTC that went to South Carolina, won 19 games already, finally got in the top 20 this week. Broke in, I believe, in the AP poll at 15, in the USA Today poll at 20. But that's a real team, and I think you're right. Tennessee had gotten that standing around and watching Connect a little bit on the offensive end. But JJJ goes for 26, and then ZZ also goes into the 20, tied his career high in assists and points against Kentucky. It was a good sign to see for that basketball team.
Well, that was a wild game too. Both teams, whatever, I can't remember his name, scored 35 for Kentucky.
Dylan,
Everybody was talking about uh, James and Ziegler playing out of their head, but look what he did. I mean, he single handedly kept them. They really wasn't in the basketball game. They were, kind of at a distance, but he kept them in within shouting distance anyway. But if it wasn't for him, it would have been a massacre in Lexington.
it would have.
Yeah.
And if you watch that game, you feel like Tennessee won by 28, not 11.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way they did Alabama in
Yeah.
Knoxville. It was kind of that way. It's just they had an individual player that lit it up and kept them in the ball game.
One more team, and then we're gonna run over and talk about the Super Bowl for just a second while we wait on Coach Finch to join us. One more team to mention is that Alabama Crimson Tide. They are sitting at 15 and I believe 17, and it's not a team that's superstar heavy. Feel like last year. This kind of feels like a workman Alabama team.
Well, it goes back to normal teams that Alabama has had lately. If they shoot well, they've got a chance. Because if they don't shoot well, they'll struggle on the defensive end because it seems like when they don't shoot well, they don't play defense either. So it's kind of a team that's real streaky. But if they can knock down shots, especially from the outside, they can beat anybody. They're a very talented team. It's just that the consistency on the offense and defense is kind of their Achilles heel sometimes.
Absolutely. You're breaking down the SEC tournament. Men's side, women's side. Who's your favorite right now?
Well, I mean, you got to go with South Carolina on the women's side. I think the Lady Vols are improving, and if they keep going like they're going, they could end up being the second best team in the conference before the year's over with. I mean, and this team was, they were talking right at the first of the year when Tennessee started off slow in conference play to them not even making the tournament.
Yes.
So they've got some games coming up where they can kind of prove themselves. We're going to find out, their grit. But naturally, South Carolina's a team to beat, and on the men's side, I mean, there's about four teams that are pretty darn good. Kentucky, they're kind of up and down, but you got to look at Florida at times plays well. South Carolina is very good because they're good on the defensive end. They've got great guard play, and that's what's key for them. And then, of course, Tennessee can beat anybody at any time. They're probably totally, Tennessee probably has less flaws than anybody else does. So they're dangerous anytime. And then, of course, Alabama, they've proved it in the postseason SEC tournament. They a lot of times will get on a run. I think the men's side is wide open.
Don't forget that Kentucky team when it comes
Yeah.
tournament time. How that Kentucky team, tournament time, they just own the SEC tournament.
Yeah, they have. Right now, they're struggling with confidence, I think, more than anything else.
Well, Phil, we just had a very, very special guest join us. Again, a great coach, a young coach that's had success early on. But I want to bring in Coach Kyle Finch of the Sylvania Lady Rams. What's up, Coach? Can you hear me? I don't know if Coach can hear me. Coach, are you able to hear me? Phil, just give me let me.
Okay.
I saw him on there. Coach Finch, are you there with us? All right. Phil, I'll ask you my Super Bowl question while I text Coach Finch. I know he's there.
Yeah.
Guys, y'all got me?
Yeah, Coach. How you doing? I was about to text you and tell you we can see you, we could hear you, but I don't think you could hear us.
Yeah, I was having technical difficulties there, I guess. I don't really know what happened.
Hey, it took me and Phil 15 minutes to get on.
Yeah.
You can't.
Don't feel bad. You did better than we did.
Yeah, and we do this every week, and we were 15 minutes getting on. Coach, I gave you a little introduction, but I want to open the floor just for some remarks from you. Welcome, and you have the privilege to run in one of the finest programs in the area too at Sylvania, and just want to get your comments on this year.
This year's obviously been a little bit of a struggle. We lost 5 good seniors last year. Come back with we've got 8 juniors on the team. However, majority of those juniors hadn't had a lot of experience on the varsity. And I told them today, the best thing I like about this group is their ability to overcome adversity. And I hadn't really thought about it, but from the time we played Geraldine at Sylvania in December, I think it was December the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm down two starters.
Mm.
Um, so, one of them had surgery, ACL surgery today, and then another one is still rehabbing to try to get back. Hopefully, she'll be back in time for softball. But, like I said, the kids have done a tremendous job of buying in and just next girl up mentality and doing what I ask of them. And so, all that to say this, I'm very blessed to kids that I get to coach and that I have the privilege of being around on a daily basis.
Coach, you had a fine program, and I know this year you've got a youth movement coming on too a little bit. You've got a lot of talent in that young group and that junior high group. Is it something that Phil, and I'll turn it over to you after this question? Is it something you as a coach can embrace that you got the influx of talent that's going to hit you in the next year or two?
Well, I don't know about, you know, boasting or have a good feeling about it. It's that we've got to go to work because everyone around us is going to work. You got the Pisgahs, the Plainviews, the Iders, the North Sand Mountains. All these people have a lot of talent as well. So it's we have to work. We have to get after it. We have to do all these things that we do in the off season in order to compete. That doesn't guarantee that we're going to win games. That means that we've got opportunity to win games.
Yes, sir. Well said, Phil.
Coach, of course, and you talked about this, the teams around the area, early in the season, you get to play the Sand Mountain tournament. You have the DeKalb County tournament. And the competition for girls in DeKalb and Jackson County is elite. I mean, you really get to figure out what kind of team you have early and often because there's no easy wins on your schedule at any time. Everybody in DeKalb, in Jackson County and DeKalb County are competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, Pisgah, Ider, North Sun Mountain. I'm fortunate not to be in that area, but you got three teams who I really believe could be a regional tournament team. However, tonight one of those will go home. And they're all really good teams. I've played all three of them this year. You've got Plainview, who is ranked, if I'm not mistaken, 2 and 3A, who is my area. And then, you got Sandrock. We're blessed here locally to have a lot of talent and have a lot of competition. Just to kind of, like you said, gauge ourselves and know where we stand and hopefully preparing us for a little postseason run.
Well, of course, Coach, Plainview's kind of your measuring stick right now. They have been lately the elite program in DeKalb County. Of course, that means them being in your area also. So it's very tough to go against a team like them. During the county tournament, they were pretty much dominating, and right now they're the team to beat, and they're the ones you're shooting for.
Yeah. I mean, 100% agree with that. We played them twice this year. And I have them again tomorrow night in the area championship. But like you said, they are the measuring stick. Coach Griggs does a really good job preparing them. They're very talented, but he also does a good job of preparing them, putting them in the right situations. Going over a scouting report and making sure that his girls and his team, his staff, they're all pulling in one direction, and it makes for a very tough opponent when going against them.
Yeah, because right now, things are really going well for Plainview, and during the Jackson County tournament, I got to talk with Coach Pope some, and his granddaughter's playing on one of the sixth grade teams at Plainview. And, he was telling me about, kids come from all over the county to there. They come to play, and a lot of them already know how to play when they get there. So, everybody's kind of flooding to Plainview right now. So, it makes it kind of tough because, we've seen this in the years past that everybody wants to run to where the winners are. And that makes it very tough. But, you just, like you say, you've got to go to work and get back up to their level.
Right. And that does make it tough. And we could sit here and I could give you a million excuses of why this, why that. But in the grand scheme of things, at the end of the day, here's who we've got. Here's who we've got to play. here's what we've got to do to be successful and advance. And that's kind of what I've preached to my girls all year long is work, work, work. And at this point in time, it's survive and advance. It's get to that next level. Everybody wants to get to the regional tournament because, as you know, Phil, you never know what can happen when you get to the regional tournament.
No, you've seen. I remember the year that Fife lost to section 4 times, then beat them in the region final down at Jacksonville State. So you don't never know. You just want to keep getting those matchups. And Coach, speaking of that, you're going to be playing Plainview for the area championship. Who's your cross area with?
It will Glencoe. See, be the Glencoe, Hopes Bluff, Westbrook, Ohatchee area.
Okay.
And which would be either Glencoe or Hopes Bluff. They're playing. They'll play tomorrow night in the area finals as well.
So you'll find out tomorrow night whether you go there or play at home. Of course,
Correct.
Your game to decide the area champion yet. And of course, one thing too with the way things are going, like you were saying with Plainview, if it wasn't Plainview, it's going to be somebody else. There's still going to be somebody good sitting there waiting on you. Of course, next year Plainview will move to 4A. But
Yes.
it is so amazing over the years how good our teams have been. Sylvania's made several trips to the Final Four. Plainview's been there. Pisgah's been there. It's just amazing how competitive basketball is in our area and the fan base. I remember during the county tournament, when you got to the finals on Saturday, the DeKalb County Schools Coliseum was full. Of course, I know Geraldine and Plainview was playing in the final, but still all day long, that place was packed. It's just amazing how people come out for basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate here in DeKalb County that each community they love it. They love their kids. They want their kids to win. They want their kids to have success, and they're always going to pull for them, which is really good. Like I said, I mean, we hosted the county tournament as this year, and like you said, it was a weird year, and we talked about this. When I sat down and talked to you, we had ice, snow. We didn't have any basketball going on until Thursday. And on Thursday, we had 2 locations.
Coach, I think we're having some feedback from Coach.
Yeah.
Phil, we didn't get to ask Coach. I wanted to ask him about county to get to where they're at tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, I want to ask him some questions about how he got into coaching. And, of course, we've lost him. Is he just went away or what happened on that?
Oh, he's there. It's just we're getting feedback from him. Let's see if we got any. One question while we're talking, and um, do you know how did that? How long did they go without practicing before the county tournament?
Well, I'm sure.
Phil?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring Coach back in just a second. Go ahead.
Oh.
Phil, Coach is going to leave and come back in and see if that'll help the situation a little bit.
Okay.
But it's a shame. Coach is such a quality individual. I just love hearing him talk, and I feel like he has a passion for girls basketball.
Oh yes, who would? The thing is, I enjoy about watching girls basketball is they never have any lulls during the game. They're very vindictive at times, but they play hard. They play with their feelings on their sleeves, and you can tell that intensity level, that look in their eye when they play, and it never goes away from start to basketball game.
Coach, I believe we got you back. We had a little coming.
Yeah, I thought you just got tired of me there. I
Yeah,
thought you just cut me off.
No,
yeah.
we just do that to Howie Cheney. We don't do that to the people we like.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, that's good to
Oh
know.
yeah, that
Coach,
was the Howie button.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Well,
had a
Coach,
question I want to ask you, and you were kind of
Randy had a good question. How was you able to practice during the county tournament? I know it messed up everybody.
um, to be honest with you, we did. We had strict orders not to practice. I think it was Wednesday. We had permission to go in and practice Wednesday afternoon, and then obviously we started play on Thursday. So there was quite a big layoff there. Most teams probably played on Friday, and then we had some junior high stuff on Saturday. Varsity teams were off, and then we had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday where I can speak for Sylvania is the only one I can speak for, but we didn't practice. Well, we had strict orders not to, and as a coach, you got to understand that we've got teenage drivers here that we're talking about getting to and from practice. So safety was a big concern there.
Yeah, definitely. So experience, on icy roads, we don't see that very often here, and you don't want them on roads, definitely, because it ain't worth losing a kid over. That's for sure.
No, 100%.
Because this is what this is all about, is them, not us.
Right.
But and of course Jackson County run this same thing. They only played on Wednesday, Saturday to cram theirs in. We had 6 basketball games on Saturday, and I think it was Pisgah that played 6 games during the week. Because they had games to make up because of football. I think
Mm-hmm.
boys and girls played 6 games the week of the tournament, but they wanted to kind of cram that in. Well, Coach, I want to go back. Let's talk a little bit about you. What got you into coaching? What made you decide you wanted to coach basketball? And who were kind of your mentors into getting you started?
Well, funny story about that. I was always a football guy. As a kid, as a teenager, I kind of had my mind made up that I was going to go into education. I always wanted to be a head football coach. That was my goals. That was kind of what I went off of. I was always trying to grab a snippet here, grab a snippet of information there. And then was when Coach Arnold, I was helping Coach Mashford at Sylvania. And then Coach Mashburn left Sylvania. Coach Arnold went to Geraldine. That's when he got the head coach job there. Coach Arnold called me and said, "Hey, man, listen, I don't have any assistants. Would you be interested in coming to help me?" And, of course, Coach Arnold was my coach in high school. He was my line coach. And so he and I had a good relationship. And I said, sure. So I went to Geraldine, was coaching, coached football for a couple of years. Then I started becoming friends with the basketball guys. Coach Ryle was there. Coach Kel Black was there. So there was a lot of people. I think that was when Coach Burns was the girls' coach. So there was a lot of people there that I just kind of mingled amongst and become friends with. As I'm still friends with those guys today. And it come to a question come up. Hey, would you be interested in coaching our junior high? Well, it's junior high girls, so I thought, sure, it can't hurt. I'll help them out. Well, we ended up winning some games. I think it was my first year. We were a couple games above 500. The next year, we ended up winning the county, and that's kind of my story. That's where it took off. My passion. Not that I don't like football and I don't like coaching football, but my passion is fully, basketball. And so that's where I kind of made that transition to, hey, I need to learn this. I really like this. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping kids succeed helping kids overcome adversity. As we all know, there's adversity every step. And so it just kind of took off from there. After Geraldine, I went to Ider and helped up there. Of course, I helped Coach Tinker coach football up there as well. But my main focus was basketball. At that time, I helped boys and girls. And then once, I was at Ider for 2 years, and then I was fortunate enough to get back to Sylvania. And that's when the principal now at Ider, Tyler Brooks, took over the boys program. And so I helped him. And then after that, I was fortunate enough to obtain the varsity girls job.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a great story. Well, Coach, and you talk about this, and we have talked about this time and time again. Seems like our kids anymore in our education system are getting cheated, and it seems like that sports is probably the best way to prepare our kids for life now. It just seems like we're too fun oriented, too non-social oriented. I think sports is so important for our kids now because it teaches them a work ethic. It teaches them about how important relationships are, about being part of, and you don't have to win every game, but it's being part of a team, and it's that climb. It's the little things like you win in the area semifinals. You get to go to the playoffs. You're guaranteed 2 more games. That's what playing sports is about.
Right. Well, and you want to give yourself, I mentioned this earlier, but you always want to give yourself an opportunity, and in advance, survive in advance, one more game. And if you continue to do that, then all of a sudden you look up and you're at JSU. All of a sudden you look up and you're in the regional finals. And then, if you're fortunate enough to continue on, you're in Birmingham. And then, as we talked a while ago, you never know. The deeper you advance, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, definitely so. But is that the most rewarding thing to a coach? Is it for you when you watch these kids out there and play ball and you see it on their face when they get it? The game kind of slows down for them and they understand what you've been trying to teach them all along, and they figure it out for themselves.
It is. It's just like in the classroom, those aha moments of the difference, on the floor is we're teaching them, teaching, and that aha moment may not come until the biggest game of the year. And it may, when it does come, that kid is that child, all of a sudden gains that confidence that they need, that they feel, almost that they're unstoppable, not in an arrogant way, but just, that confidence that, hey, I'm fixing to do this. And I think, that's what it's all about. Like you said, you can't have a cell phone on the basketball court. You can't have, AirPods on the basketball court to communicate. You can't, in my health classes, we talk about communication and how critical it is. And if you go into a restaurant, you see people waiting for their food, but they're on their phone. And you can't do that on the basketball court. You can't do that on the football field. It's got to be you're communicating with everyone. It's teaching those communication skills.
Yeah, because when you're on the basketball court or football field, you don't have a lifeline.
No.
You're there on an island, and there's no safety net.
Yep.
Now, communication is what's important. You got to depend on the guy or girl beside you to keep you afloat. And and I think that's what teaches these kids, get away from that cell phone for a little while. Let's learn a little bit about communication, because if you're going to be successful in life, you're going to have to learn to get along with others. That cell phone ain't going to make you a nickel. Well, it will, but
Right.
the rewarding part of life is to get out and be social, make a difference, out in the social ranks of life. Because these people you're competing against, you're going to be working with someday.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's 100%. You hit the nail on the head right there. Those are the ones those people that you are competing against are going to be bosses, co-workers, that long line, and being able to communicate with them, post sports is key.
Yeah, definitely so. Randy, you got some things you want to ask?
Coach, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention your support staff at home and on the sidelines, and I know you have a younger one, so I'm sure sometimes during the basketball season it gets a little complicated.
Oh, it does. It's a, you said I had one. I've actually got three kids.
Well,
Um,
I'll let you tell part of it.
so I've got three kids. My oldest is in second grade. My middle one's in pre-K, and then my youngest is three. So we've got a stair step here, and my wife's phenomenal. Um, she does get frustrated because, as you guys know, I'm never at home. It's always preparing for this game, preparing for that game, cleaning the gym, making sure uniforms are washed, or if I am at home, I'm watching film. All these things that it takes, and you talked about at home, and like I said, I told people the year we went to the state championship game, my wife was the real MVP because not only from October to March had I, been involved in playing basketball, but my wife took care of three kids on a nightly basis, fed them, bathed them, put them to bed,
Mhm.
those types of things. And she does it for the most part without saying anything. She and I discussed when I took this job or before I took it, the commitment that it would take because I wanted her to make sure she knew and understood, hey, here's what we got. And then, like you said, the support staff at school, teachers, Coach Gary Talley, he's helped me for the past 5 years. And Coach Weldon has come on the last 2 years, and she's been a big help to us. She does our junior high. And so she also helps us, on the bench, day to day stuff. Coach Talley, we watch film, discuss it. And he's a former head coach, so he gets it. He understands the ins and outs of it, and so he gets it. And obviously, I know Coach Van's gone to Scottsboro now, but he come in and he was doing all of our weights and stuff this year. So it's been a group effort. It's not just me. I'd be lying if I told you guys that it's just me that does this because it's clearly not. It takes a village, even with basketball programs.
Yeah, having Coach Talley around is great because he knows it from the basketball coaching side because he coached basketball when I was in high school, and he knows it from the administration side. So he has a lot of input. And of course, Coach Heath Kirby too, big sports guy. That
Right.
also helps if your principal backs your sports programs because it's so important now. Because it's also your moneymaker. Sometimes it's the life or death of the school because a lot of times especially like in football, financially, they carry the load. And, basketball is somewhat of a, but it is so expensive to run a program now.
It is. You could go from everything to rewaxing the gym floors to uniforms to basketballs. It just costs a lot. That's just the way it is. Officials have gone up the past 2 years, and so it does cost a lot to run it. But like I said, I'm very fortunate. Fundraising is typically not an issue. This year, Mr. Kirby jumped right in. When I went to him and said, hey, now we host the county tournament, he was on board. He was right there every step along the way, which was more than normal this year.
Yeah.
Coach,
Well, yeah, when I talked to him, he was so appreciative. I said, "Hey, how did y'all pull this off? Having two sites for the county tournament, 4 games each day." He goes, "It means you got some good folks around you." He said, "We couldn't have done it without those folks." And that before I turned over to Randy, that's what I wanted to mention too. Parents of these kids and the faculty and the people that sacrifice to make the program special because they're the kind of the backbone. The kids are out there, they're playing, but they need a good supporting cast behind them. And I've always known, I've been around Sylvania School for a long time. I delivered chips there. I know many people that went to school there. I've been around that school a lot. and people love their sports there. They love their kids and they love their community.
They do. And if we didn't have the backing of, not just Mr. Kirby, but the parents, then we would really struggle. But we tell the kids, what we expect of them, where we want to go, why we're doing it. There's not a whole lot of kids that want to come in and lift weights all summer, but we do all sports. So we're very appreciative of those people buying in, because I can tell you it's not like that locally everywhere. I talk to a lot of coaches, got a lot of acquaintances, a lot of friends, and we discuss our programs all the time, and being able to do the things that we do. A lot of it depends on the parents and the parents buying in. Even our junior high kids will come in the summer.
Coach, I got a message from Howie Chaney. Now, he brought it up, not me. He brings up, and I know it's a sore subject. Last time you was on, you mentioned Coach Kittle being the oldest coach at Sylvania. Has she gotten over it yet? And then you got a reply immediately from Coach Kittle. I bet you he'll tell you that I'm past over it. He better say I'm his biggest supporter and help too, even though he didn't mention. I'll get him back for that. So, Coach, I think you got to clear that up. That up for us.
Well, I will say this. We had additions of Glenn Hicks and Coach Lamar Hendricks. So she's probably not the oldest at this point in time. So she's off the hook there. But she is. She's Coach Kittle and I work day to day together. We oversee the weight room and things together, and ultimately we share athletes. She coaches volleyball, and not only do we share athletes and we have a good relationship, she also keeps the clock for us for all of our home games, and on the road she keeps my book for me. So even though Coach Kittle acted like she was upset, and I'm sure I'll get hammered for this tomorrow, but that's okay too. I do think she's got over the comment. She hadn't mentioned it in, I don't know, a couple months.
All right, Coach.
But Coach, tell me this. It is Howie. Now I know how Howie is. Do you feel like he's this way? He's the type of person that'll throw you under the bus, climb on board, run over you, and then put it in reverse and back up on top of that.
And then ask you to change the oil while you're under there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So you know him as well as I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Randy.
Coach, Phil, I'll come back to you after this question, kind of wrap us up. Coach, I think it would be remorse if we didn't bring up that run you had back in 21, and what a special time that was. We had you on just right after that, and the first time Howie and I interviewed you, and I think you were elated with the run, but you were also worn out from it. Has a little distance from it gave you perspective to that run you had?
Yeah, I think as each year passes, I think that it becomes more special. That group, you don't understand when you're in it. It's tough to really enjoy it. We've been fighting ever since to try to get back to that point. And those kids, it's a testament to what those kids did. Like I said, I was just kind of along for the ride. And the relationships that were built, I still talk to a couple of those weekly, monthly. Kennedy Lee's at Berry right now, and I think she's top 4 scorers in their conference right now. So being able to just those relationships, just that run, I think each year that passes makes you more appreciative because it happened. And then you look at these coaches that, Coach Ellison at Pisgah, Coach Coker, who is now at Fort Payne, all these runs that they've made, and it makes you more appreciative of, wow, for what they've done. And then also it makes me more appreciative of our run because I did get to experience it. And to be honest with you, I didn't know if I'd ever get to.
Well, Coach, I know exactly how you feel. It's like when my senior year, we won the state championship in football, and I remember how the celebration was all over with. And I went to walking off the field, and I looked up at the scoreboard and saw the 13-6 score, and all of a sudden I got to thinking, this is it. I'm done. This is the last time I put this uniform on. And then I kind of sort of put my head down, started walking toward the locker room, and I thought that wasn't what this was about. Winning the state championship that wasn't what this was all about. It was the climb, and it was the relationships you built, and it's the friendships and the memories made. That's what's important.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, I made some lifelong relationships, and just to see a group come together, it was they overcome a lot of adversity. That was the COVID year, where we were supposed to wear masks on the sidelines, and there was a lot of uncertainty of would we get to play, and that type of thing. And that's even when they moved it to Bill Harris and on campus at UAB, Bartow Arena. So I just think, as with any group, overcoming adversity is a big part of that.
Anything else, Randy?
Coach, before we, Coach Kittle also had one more comment I want to get before we get off. But Coach, I want to ask you about this year's team, just real quick, and we'll wrap it up. And I appreciate you joining us, Coach. This year's team, you're talking about playing in the area finals tomorrow. Has there been a progression through this year team? So, you lost a couple, and a couple of players probably getting more time. Have you had some young folks kind of that light go on for them?
Well, I think, like I told you earlier, we had a lot of juniors, and they were inexperienced. So being able to get them more time and get them prepared, I think in the latter parts of the season, we've come on. I think those people have accepted their roles and been able to move forward. Obviously, we would like to have those two that are no longer with us due to injuries, but I think, like you said, they're maybe not young ones. We've got some young ones, some playing time, but really the ones that started out on the varsity that maybe wasn't getting just a ton of playing time because of those other ones playing so well. Now they are producing and being productive.
Coach, one last question. What there has been some change around the school. What are you looking from the community? Do you have I know some schools have a separate fund for the Lady Rams. Do you all fund it through the same fundraiser like the quarterback club, or do you have your own group?
We have our own group. It's wild that we're very fortunate. We've got 3 accounts, not just girls, but we got a girls and boys fundraising account at the school, and then we have a joint account. But then we also have a tip-off club account. So, funds are usually, we've had that support from the tip-off club and being able to basically whatever we need, within reason, we're able to acquire.
Coach Kittle said, all joking aside, I'm here for all of it. Let's make a run, Coach. Go Rams. Have you got a run in you, Coach?
I hope so. I told the girls today it's time. This is what we've been talking about all year long. Is survive in advance, getting to that postseason, and here we are. It's time. We advanced obviously to the sub-regional. We don't know who will play yet or where, but it starts tomorrow night. We play a very good Plainview team, and there's no denying. I told them today they're a good team, but we've got to go do what we do to the best of our abilities. We've tweaked a couple of things. Hopefully we can do some things to negate some of the stuff that they do really well, and then we'll go at them. And whatever that result may be, we'll live with it. Obviously, we know it's not the end, but we'll get ready to play again with whoever we play next.
Yeah, because I mean, in that kind of case, you can have your best day, and you never know what might happen. Well, Coach, I want to ask you one thing, and I know you've been around. You said you coach football, of course, football guy, mostly starting out, and I'm sure you're
Right.
from basketball. But what attracted you to girls basketball? Now, I love calling basketball on radio more than I do anything I do. And what really I think attracted me to basketball is the girls' basketball because they are such fierce competitors. And I mean, from the opening whistle to the end of that game, they are fierce. They wear their uh, emotions on their sleeves. That's just what I enjoy about watching girls basketball. Rarely ever do they have any lulls. Is that what maybe attracts you to girls basketball?
Well, that and obviously the camaraderie, being able to, if you can motivate. I've always said if you can motivate girls to play hard, you're going to have an opportunity to win a lot of games. But like you said, they are fierce competitors. I had to against Geraldine in the semifinal game. I had a girl kind of got caught up in her emotions, and I had to grab her to the side and say, "Hey, chill out. I need you to make these free throws." And so, just the fierce competitors, they don't want to lose. They want to do everything they can to the best of their ability to be able to have success.
Coach, do you think, I know some coaches go between boys and girls. Do you think the girl side is more your calling?
I do. I've coached boys, um, and I wished I could pinpoint a specific reason of um, why I don't enjoy it. I can't really. I mean, it was just I felt like my place was on the girls' side. I've had a couple of people prior to say, "Would you ever coach boys?" And I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I could. Nothing against them personally. That's not what I feel like my passion is. I've been on the girls' side for a while. I even when I was in high school, I even helped Heath Thrash a little bit. So, I've gone way back coaching girl athletes.
I'm a girl dad, and it is different. I mean, my daughter's very active in band and dance and stuff, and it's a different set of motivation. Sometimes I know with my daughter and some of her peers, once they're motivated, they're very motivated. But sometimes I struggle with how to motivate. It's not different, but it is different. If you know what I mean.
Right. Well, you're always going to have issues. It doesn't matter. Boys, girls, doesn't matter. Um, but there's just different issues.
Yeah.
With the girls side of things, typically you're not going to have issues with academics, whatever, but you are going to have to deal with some drama along the way. With guys, if there's any issues going on, they're going to talk about it, may even fight it out, but then they're going to go on about their business as if nothing ever happened.
That's it.
So I guess you just pick your battles, depending on what you want to hash out, what you want to deal with.
Phil, won't you take us out? You got anything else for Coach? I'm sure.
Not necessarily. I just want to wish him the best of luck. I know he's done a great job, and it's always great to get to talk to these coaches who motivate these kids because you don't know, And I've had coaches, I've had teachers that have motivated me in the past. It might be a few words, it might be a butt chewing, it might be a kind word, it might be a slap on the back. But there's always something you do positive for these kids, and it might be a little bit of negative criticism, but they remember it and they get better for those things. So, teachers and coaches don't really realize how special it is and what they do, I think, until they finish coaching and they reflect back and understand what they actually did for these kids because they make them positive members of society down the road more often than not. I mean, you don't reach everybody, but most of them you do.
Right. Well, it's just like you said, if you can change that one person, maybe that one person that doesn't have a great home, maybe that doesn't really feel comfortable talking to their parents about a situation, or maybe their parents are not really involved, or whatever. There's a million different cases that we could go through that and talk about making differences in their lives. But also, nobody wants to talk about this because it's the negative side. But you guys also make a difference. I know you guys probably don't feel like you do, but if you don't think that you guys don't make a difference, um, Randy, I can talk about the Tyler Van show. The kids were always talking about it. I would hear football guys talking about it. And staying with the football side of things, Phil, I mean, the WQSB scoreboard, kids listen to that. Kids want to be that WQSB team of the week. So you guys also have that influence on them to where they're striving to become better because of what you guys do also.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that, because that's all. That's our biggest goal. Being on the scoreboard show is delivering a positive message. Because these kids gets put on a pedestal for a while. Eventually, they get to be has-beens like we do, and you're not
Right.
here anymore. You're has-beens. So while they're there, you want them to feel special because it's a special moment in their lives, something they'll never forget.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I think that those times are special. Um, and even I know, like Randy had that weekly show with Coach Van, and Coach Van brought those players on to speak, and that's a rarity. I mean, just to be completely honest, that's a rarity, and those kids feel like they're in the spotlight and they're being interviewed, and it's going out across the web there, and so they do feel special. They do feel different there. And like you said, promoting them is what it's all about.
Coach, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
we
like when
all
we do
do.
the media. Yeah, that's like when you do the media days, Coach. We always challenge the kids to speak. We want them to speak. Some of them's never spoke before, and you don't never know. They may be getting into something where they become into public service, public speaking. You don't never know what motivates them, but it's great for them to stand up there on that stage and talk. It makes them feel good about themselves. I know it does. That's really challenging by doing it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the kids look forward to that stuff. We're in a social media world, whereas everything's shared on social media, and every kid's wanting to be spotlighted and seen and those types of things. And so you guys doing what you do also also gives them reason to, hey, let me strive to do better. Let me do this. Let me do that. Um, and you guys are a part of that motivation. And when I talked to you guys at the county tournament, the last thing that I told you guys was thanks for what you do, because kids playing on the radio and parents hearing their child's name called on the radio is a rarity. We just don't have that.
Coach, just like you, people probably don't realize what a blessing is to coach. I promise you, I probably steal more from the kids than they ever got from me. So I appreciate you saying that, but it's a time to get to share a little bit of their lives, because it's over too soon. Somehow I've managed to make high school athletics last 37 years. So I guess I'm going to say I'm like radio. I'm going to be a professional high school athlete for my life.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I think both you guys do a good job of promoting kids and schools and athletics. And I know there's also other things that you're promoting. It's not just athletics, but also making sure that people understand um, these kids are special and their time and effort doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah, definitely. So I've told Jeff a few times. I said, we do God's work and don't even realize it. Because we get so much out of it. But we're also extending a little of ourselves, because what's kept me going. I knew when I was 9 years old I wanted to get into radio, but I didn't really realize how important it was to spotlight other people, not just me.
Right. Right. Well, and that's a very similar situation what I'm in. Those kids go out and do the work. Those kids get the results. How many free throws and layups and rebounds I've got this year? None.
Yeah.
The kids have done it all. So I've just been fortunate enough to be along for the ride.
Well, Phil Harris, you got anything else? I tell you what, Coach, you got to come back and join us again because I have really super enjoyed this, and I don't think we're able to get enough exposure on ladies, girls, women's athletics. So it's nice to be able to have you on here and kind of get to shed some light that way because we don't have as many people we know in that world. So come back and join us sometime, please.
Well, anytime. Like I said, just let me know. Like I said, we going forward, we're going to try to make a run at this thing and try to advance one game at a time, and that will be our philosophy: is survive this game and let's advance to the next one, and let's just see what happens. But I do appreciate you guys and your time.
Appreciate you, Coach Phil. You got anything to clear us up tonight?
Well, I just sure do appreciate talking to Coach Finch because because I know he puts his heart and soul into this, and so I'm sure the folks at Sylvania feel the same way.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and just let me know, if I can do anything for you guys in the future.
Oh, appreciate it, Coach. For Randall Cunningham, for Phil Harris, this has been Beyond the Boot with Coach Kyle Finch from the Sylvania Lady Rams. Get out and support them tomorrow night, and we'll get Coach back on here really soon. Thank you. God bless, and have a safe night.